أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Welcome everyone. Today we're going to be exploring some really profound Quranic verses that act as a guide for one of the most beautiful and, let's be honest, challenging parts of life, the path of love and marriage. And we're starting with this quote because, well, it's so true, isn't it? The home, that private space, is often the very place where our ego, our nafs, is tested the most.
You see, the Qur'an doesn't just leave something as important as intimacy to our raw instincts. Instead, it gives us what you could call a sacred architecture, a way to build and refine it into a true act of worship, a way to polish the heart and actually draw closer to God through our relationships.
And this divine guidance, it offers us these beautiful boundaries. Now, they're not there to restrict love or fence it in, not at all. They're there to protect it from our own lower selves, from our tendencies to want to control or, God forbid, to cause harm. So let's explore how this guidance actually unfolds.
So, the verses, they really lay out a blueprint for our relationships. It's a clear outer structure that covers three huge critical phases: who we choose to be with, how we live together, and yes, even how we part ways if we must. And it all begins with that very first step. Who do we choose to walk this path with?
Right away, the Qur'an addresses that powerful, sometimes overwhelming force of attraction. We all know what that feels like. But it doesn't just leave it there. It immediately reframes it, putting it under a much higher, much more meaningful lens.
This verse is, well, it's incredibly direct. It fully acknowledges that feeling of attraction, that experience of being pleased by someone. But then it sets a completely different priority. So this isn't just a rule, it's a profound redirection. It's asking us, okay, look beyond that initial appeal. What's the ultimate destination here?
So the real question isn't just, who am I drawn to? It becomes, who are we walking toward together? Is our shared destination, our ultimate goal, the pleasure of God? Okay, so next, the blueprint guides how we actually live together, and it uses this incredible metaphor for intimacy.
This is just brilliant. It represents a massive shift in mindset. Think about it. A field isn't something you just take from. It's something you have to care for, you have to nurture, you have to cultivate. It implies a relationship of deep care and responsibility.
And that phrase, send something ahead for yourselves, what does that mean? It means that even our most private, intimate moments are placed directly before God. It reframes intimacy from a simple act of consumption into an act of planting good for the hereafter. It becomes a form of accountability. And finally, the blueprint addresses the very difficult act of parting, and it emphasizes dignity above all else.
I mean, listen to how clear that is. The divine command is unequivocal. There are two options and only two: stay together with goodness and what is acceptable, or separate with grace and kindness. This verse sets such a high standard. There is absolutely no room for harm, for punishment, or for control in this process. These are God's limits, and they are there to protect the sanctity of both souls, even in a separation. It's a profound call for us to rise above our ego's desire to cause pain when we feel hurt ourselves. Now, let's see how this outer guidance builds an inner spiritual reality.
The Sufi masters, the mystics of our tradition, they read these verses as more than just rules for society. For them, this was a map for the purification of the human heart. They always looked beyond the outer form to see the spiritual essence, the batin, underneath.
And what's so fascinating is how this reframes everything. That outer impulse of attraction is elevated to a serious question of spiritual direction. The idea of consumption is totally transformed into cultivation. And that natural human drive for possession, it's purified into a sacred trust.
This path of refinement is so deep that in the mystical tradition, it's even encoded within the word for marriage itself. Nikah isn't seen as a static event. It's a journey. It's a process of becoming, a path of spiritual growth and completion that unfolds over time. And for the Sufis, this quote from al-Qushayri says it all. This is the ultimate test. To be able to let go with grace, with absolutely no trace of vengeance or control, that isn't just good manners. It's a sign of true spiritual maturity. It's a sign that someone has truly known God's mercy and is trying to live it. So you see, this divine guidance isn't just theory. It's not something to just learn about. It's meant to be a mirror held up right to our own souls. And it invites us to pause, to breathe, and to ask ourselves some deeply, deeply honest questions. Let's just sit with that for a moment. Does our love seek to set another person free?
or to hold them close for our own sake? Is our love a form of giving, or is it deep down a form of taking?
And think about moments of disagreement or conflict. Does our approach seek to preserve the dignity of the other person, or is it really about asserting our own will? And in those moments of closeness, of intimacy,
Do we see the divine in that connection? Do we remember that every single moment is witnessed and that we are accountable? Because, as we're reminded, marriage is not just a union between two people. It is a revelation of the self.
Let's close our time together with this beautiful prayer, this munajat, just a quiet conversation from the heart. O Lord of hearts, purify our love from possession. Make our closeness a trust and our separation a mercy. Amin.
This reflection was compiled with deep gratitude by Mir Ali Shah, a fellow seeker who is sharing through the Living the Wisdom of the Qur'an podcast. And we humbly ask for forgiveness in acceptance for any mispronunciations or errors that might come from the AI voice. And with that, we conclude our reflection. May it be of benefit to all of us.